Hi, welcome back to another episode of Restaurant Remake, and today I am gonna make a classic appetizer that you will have in any restaurant. So most likely when you go to the restaurant, you would want to order some buffalo wings. So in this episode, I will show you how to make both bone-in and boneless buffalo wings. So I'm gonna reveal the secrets in terms of how do you make a perfect buffalo wing at home. So if you have not yet subscribed to our food travel shopping channel, please hit the subscribe button. Also hit the bell notification above, and so then you can receive the latest updates. So let's get cooking. I am going to show you how to remove the bone from the drumlet as well as the winglet of our boneless buffalo wings. And if you prefer to keep the bone, well, you can skip this step. But if you want to make your boneless buffalo wings more enjoyable, or just the buffalo wing more enjoyable for your guests, which is easier for your guests to eat it, and this is a nice gesture to debone the process here. So let's get to it. All right, so I'm gonna start off with the drumlet here. Now, if there's excess skin that you want to remove, you can remove that right now as well. So we can get rid of the skin. All right, the easy part here is to start off with this side instead of the bulky side in this case. So we're gonna start off with this side. You're just gonna make an incision around the bone here. And what you're doing here is really cutting off the tendons from the bone. And you can see some those white part here, all right? This is the joint, right? So you wanna make your incision around it. And you're just cutting off the tendon. All right, so after you do that, okay, so we're gonna see what part is not thoroughly cut, and you're just gonna cut that off. So right here, okay. So you might need to do it a few times here. So I brought it up here closer for you to look at. So this is where we can see, and you can scrape the bone here with the meat off from the bone. So that's good. And this part right here, I'm just gonna make another incision to say cut through that tendon. Okay, so I should be able to scrape the meat from the bone here. All right, so again, if you can't, that means they're still attached. They're still attached here. So just continue to cut it. All right. All right, so then you can actually like roll back here the meat after you cut off the tendon. All right, so you can use your knife to kind of scrape down. Now, for some of you guys, this is, if you don't want to debone the whole thing, if you serve it like this is also really good because you have unfold basically the majority of the meat already. And this is what we call like a lollipop. All right. So this is like a lollipop, and you can actually serve it like this as well, which looks really nice. Now, the purpose here I am showing you is to do a boneless chicken wing, like a real boneless chicken wings, using the drumlet and the wing part. So now we're gonna move to the other side, the opposite end here. And depending on, the drumlet in this case, so this is actually, there's another joint here. So when they remove the chicken, it's, part of the other joint is here. So we're just gonna cut around it. All right, so cut around it. Now I'm all about try to like keep as much meat as possible. All right, so I'm gonna actually cut that off. So that's distracting me. So we can cut this off. And here you want to just kind of feel around here. Where's that initial tendon here? I'm going to cut and make an incision right here. Okay. And basically most of your knife is just going to do the trick here. All right, so once you find a good spot to start, then you just continue to use your knife to do most of the work. Scrape it, try to cut off those tendon with the meat, with the bone, all right, those joint, all right. So that's what I'm doing. So I'm going around it. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna go to the other side now. This is where most of the meat is still with the bone, so we're gonna continue to cut. Okay. And then you can even just roll this back here and see some of those tendon is on this side. So we're gonna make a small incision here as well. Okay, so this actually kind of roll off. All right, so it's gonna make out our incision. There's still attachment here from the bone and the joint. And there we have it. This is our boneless drumlet, right? And the nice thing about this is actually you still get the whole shape of the drumlet. And that's what I love about it, all right? So it is rewarding, it is time consuming when you're prepping, but bring your laptop in front of you while you're doing it, watch a show, and while you're doing this, and actually the prep work will fly by. All right, so this is my boneless drumlet. Now I'm gonna show you how to debone the chicken wings. All right, so the first part here, we want to make an incision. All right, so depending on which end here, you want to find an end that is easier to do. So we can go from here, actually. The bone is more visual. Just gonna make that cut initially. Okay. And I'm gonna cut around. All right, I'm gonna cut around the bone here. So notice I'm just scraping it around the bone. Okay, so make that cut. All right, you can start seeing that I start to review the bone a little bit more, and you just use your knife to scrape around the bone. All right, so that's how you kind of debone one side of the chicken wings. Now, once you're like halfway through like this, right? Go to the other side. Kind of make that initial cut. Kind of basically you want to separate the two bone from the joint, right? So you make an incision, you cut it. All right, so I should be able to pull this one of the bone out. So again, use your knife to help you, scrape the meat from the bone, and that's how you do it. So that's one of our bone. All right. All right, so now for the final bone. Okay, I'm gonna start on this side. I can see the clear tendon around that bone, so I'm just gonna go ahead and make that incision. Okay, right here, definitely. So there's some tendon right there. Also right here, we're just gonna use our knife to scrape off the meat. This part, I'm gonna try to cut it a little bit using my knife. Okay, you do want to be careful, gentle. At the same time, you also wanted to use, you know, your knife to cut those tendon off. All right, so here we have it, and I'm just gonna hold it on this side for you, and you can see there's a tendon right there, and we're gonna cut it using our knife. I really like this scraping technique when I'm deboning. So as long as you're following the bone with your knife and you're scraping, actually that does most of the work. And look, right? I'm just scraping those meat off from the bone. And this just help us debone it. And I want to get rid of the joint, so cut, and there we have it. Just to clean up and feel around, and I want to completely remove those joint bones. So let's make our cut here. So that's my final cut. All right, so there's my whole boneless chicken wing. Right, so it looks really nice, okay? And that is my wings. All right, so this is everything deboned, okay? So it looks very nice. All my bone is here, all right, very lovely. So I showed you how to debone the winglet as well as the drumlet. All right, so now for the next step, we are gonna go ahead and season it a little bit, as well as there's a little trick to make these crispy when we bake it in the oven. The boneless wings and drums into with the one that I do have bones, because I'm making two versions for you guys. One with the bones, and then one are without the bones. So then you can see which one you would like to do for the famous buffalo wings. All right, so first of all, we want to season our chicken wings with some black pepper. So this, you can season it to taste. Now I prefer lots of black pepper, so I'm gonna do, so here approximately I'm doing like 2 teaspoons of black pepper. Maybe 1.5. All right, so. Okay, so then with a pinch of salt, we're going to use our hand, just toss this together. All right, so right here I have approximately 3 pounds of chicken wings. So this is like 24 pieces, all right? So I have 24 pieces all together, the winglet and the drumlet. All right, so we're gonna season this. Give it a nice toss. Now the secret ingredients here is actually 3 tablespoons of baking powder. Isn't this interesting? You want to use the one that is aluminum free. So use the one by the baking soda that is aluminum free. And we're just going to now try to coat this evenly. So I'm gonna just put half of my baking powder. So I just added half of my baking powder in first. All right. And then I'm gonna add in a little bit more here. Now it's crucial for you to make sure that your wings is completely dry. So I did dry them and pat it down with a paper towel. So that is the best way to do it. Also, once you wash them, you can actually just dry them and then put it in the fridge for 30 minutes or so. So then that's like air chilling it. All right. Alright, so I got all my, and I mixed it really well, my wings. So now I'm gonna transfer it to a baking sheet, and I lined it with a Parmesan paper here. Alright, so what you wanted to do is to put approximately like 1 tablespoon of olive oil. And what I want to do here, I'm just going to use my hand to spread this olive oil around. So then the Parmesan paper is evenly spread with my olive oil. Okay. And now I'm going to take all the bone wings, all the wings and the drumlet with the bones, and I'll put it in here first. I'm gonna put the skin laying flat down first, just because I wanted to get a nice crispy sear. Now, when we bake them, we are going to flip them eventually, so that's no problem. This process takes a little bit longer time because first of all, I'm gonna put it in the oven, 300 degrees. I'm using convention baking. And what I wanted to do is to kind of, cook these wings thoroughly first, okay? And just gonna put it in on all one baking sheet. So I'm gonna line them up a little bit nicer. So I'm just creating a little bit more space. And then these are the boneless drumlet. All right, so I'm gonna create a little bit more space here. All right. Okay, so another drumlet. Okay, I'm gonna do all the drumlet first. All right, so just gotta squeeze in a little bit more space. Okay, just wanna finish them. Okay. All right, there we go. Right, the wings and drumlet with bones, and then these are my boneless. Okay, so now we're ready to put this into the oven. All right, so this is what it looks like after 30 minutes of baking. You can clearly see that the wings is cooked, but we want to make this to be crispy, right? So now we're gonna turn on the heat to 425 degrees and we're gonna let this crisp on one side first. So after 20 minutes, I am going to flip the wings. So let's cook for another 40 minutes. All right, so in the meantime, while we're waiting for our chicken wings, let me show you the ingredients for the sauce. In a saucepan, we are now going to melt the butter and we're preparing for our buffalo sauce. 3 tablespoons of butter. All right, let's melt this down. Okay, I'm gonna add some black pepper here. All right, so once the butter is completely melted, we are going to add in our hot sauce. All right, so let's add in our hot sauce. Now remember, the hot sauce I also put a little bit salt in, so I added salt as well. And finally, we're gonna add our honey. All right, so I just want to bring it back to a little simmer on the side, and then I'm going to turn off the heat. Okay, if your wings is not ready, we can just leave it on the stove. It will remain keeping it warm, the sauce. You want the sauce to be warm when you toss it with the chicken wings. All right, so you can see the bubbling on the side. This is where we can now turn off the heat. Like I said, if your chicken wings are not ready yet, just leave it on the stove and it will keep warm. Okay, so to get started with the blue cheese dipping sauce, I'm gonna transfer the mayonnaise here. Gonna add in our sour cream. Now I'm putting it in a container so then I can actually put a lid on and then put it in the fridge, and then when we serve, we can take this out. All right, so we're gonna mix this really well. All right, so I'm gonna take my garlic and add that in as well. Okay. All right, so now I'm gonna add in my milk as well as the blue cheese. Now you can crumble these up beforehand. I usually don't crumble them. As I'm stirring this sauce here, it will get crumble along the way. So I'm not too concerned about this here. So as we mix this, it will crumble along the way, right? So I love to have a chunky blue cheese sauce. So if you crumble it ahead of time, when you start stirring it, it actually gets smaller pieces, right? So you want chunky blue cheese sauce. You don't want to crumble them beforehand. If you want to be less chunky, you want to crumble it beforehand. All right, so that's the tips. All right, so it's coming along really nice here. All right, so before I add in my lemon juice, I'm gonna add some black pepper here. All right, give it a little mix. Okay, grind some more black pepper. And then give it a little mix. Before I mix this in, I'm gonna pinch some salt and I'm gonna add some salt in. Now we're gonna give it a final mix. And as we're doing our final mix here, I'm gonna add in my lemon juice. All right, so it's pretty simple to make your blue cheese dip, all right? So you can use this for anything, basically. Not necessarily just the buffalo wings, right? Dipping it for buffalo wings. You might want to put it on a blue cheese salad. So you don't really need to go out and buy a jar of blue cheese. You can actually make this fresh at home. And it's so good. I mean, you can give it a little taste. It is so good. All right, so all you need is really to get the blue cheese, and most of the ingredients that you combine with here, maybe sour cream as well. You would have it at home, like milk, like mayonnaise. You might have it at home already, so you don't have to go get it. And why not do the condiments at home? Using other ingredients that you already have. You don't have to buy another jar of things, and put it in the fridge. All right, so this is my blue cheese. I just can't help myself to finish this spoon here. So let me just give it a good taste. So rich, so creamy. It's perfect. I can't wait to try this with the buffalo wings. All right, so we are 20 minutes in. And we want to flip the other side. So look at how nice and brown this is. So now we're gonna cook the other side, basically. All right, so these are the boneless. And it becomes like a little, like really boneless chicken wings, like a little round nugget kind of thing. But better than the boneless chicken wings from the restaurant, because there's, my wife always complained about the breading. They have super, you know, a lot of breadings, and usually it's not even from the chicken wings, you know, when you order boneless chicken wings, it's actually not really from the wings part, right? So I think this is a good alternative. Definitely a little bit more work, like I explained to you and I warned you guys when I was deboning. Now, of course, if you don't want to debone, so I have my classic wings here with the bones. So if you want to serve it with the bone, no problem. Same thing, same recipe, no different. All right, goes in another 20 minutes. All right, so after 40 minutes, look at these wings. It's beautiful. All right, so right away, I'm gonna take them out one by one. And actually, you know what, before I do that, all right, I'm gonna layer it with a paper towel because I wanna absorb those extra oil. I don't want those oil. Oh, look at these, it's so crispy. Super crispy. You just bake them. And it's extra crispy. Now, why is it extra crispy? Because it's from the baking powder. That's the secret. Right? That is the secret to crispy wings. So if you want to try these at home, I encourage you to try them. And if you really like how my chicken wing turned out, please give me a like right now. Alright, just hit that like button to show your appreciation with these crispy wings. Look at these. Alright, so I removed the paper towel and you can hear the crunch. Now we're gonna pour in our buffalo wing sauce. And we're gonna give it a toss. Alright, so now we're gonna toss our buffalo wings with our sauce here. Oh, you can smell the spiciness of the buffalo wings. Alright, so you wanna make sure you coat each of the wings that is covered with sauce. So you can do this basically. So this will give it a nice toss. Okay, so now we're ready to serve. Okay, so remember I created two separate versions here for you. Now I have my celery and the homemade blue cheese that we made earlier. So now we have our serving plates ready. All right, so one is gonna be the bone-in and the other one is the boneless. Now this is where I need to separate them. So I'm gonna place all the bones. The one with bones. Let's put this on this plate. Oh man, I can't wait to try. These looks good. All right, so a lot of different restaurants have buffalo wings, and they, you know, depending on which restaurant, they, you know, the sauce is slightly different. But in general, I think this is a good recipe to make at home. So why don't you guys give it a try? Now, like I said, I prefer if I host a party and I don't want my guests to be shy about, you know, eating the buffalo wing, I would actually pull out the bone. So these are my boneless wings here, the boneless buffalo wings. Like I said, it is a little bit more work, but I think your guests will appreciate this. And just the fact that you tell them, oh, these are the boneless, and I actually made these, you know, from scratch. And I think they will really appreciate that. All right, so I'm just gonna drizzle some sauce here. And drizzle some sauce here for this side. And there we have it. We have our buffalo wings. Boneless version or the classic with the bone buffalo wings. All right, so for the taste test of my classic buffalo wings versus my boneless buffalo wings, I'm gonna have my special guest, my wife, to check out this boneless buffalo wing first and then ask her to try out the bone-in buffalo wings.
Okay, so let's see. So it looks really nice. It smells like spicy like buffalo wings should be. So let me try this boneless buffalo wings. Let me dip on the homemade blue cheese.
Yeah, so I made the blue cheese from scratch. Alright, so I can't resist, so I am also going to try this out. Super crispy, by the way. You would never guess that it was just baked in the oven. Look at the blue cheese, love it.
Yeah. Mark knows me really well that I really don't like a lot of breading on my buffalo wings. Doesn't matter it's boneless or with bone. But I barely order boneless wings because it's a lot of breading. Sometimes it's just not enough meat for me. But this way of doing it, like using the baking powder, it actually makes it really well. It still have the crispiness.
There's no flour at all.
There's no flour,
that's
yeah.
The beauty of this.
Yeah, you can taste like how wings should taste like. So I really like it.
The good thing is there is that the skin. So the skin is still attached with the winglet and the drumlet. So that's why it's also extra crispy, and I think the baking powder had the effects of like making the skin more bubbly.
Yeah, you can hear the crispiness.
Yeah, you can hear the crunch when you bite into it. Alright, try our regular classic bone-in one.
I'll pick the wings as usual. So this does look like how you would see at the restaurant. So by what it looks like, I think it's really good. So let's dip into our homemade blue cheese again. So the homemade blue cheese is actually really good.
So I'm gonna use my hand and eating it with the wings. I mean, bone-in wings, you have to use your hand, I feel like.
I'm using my fork anyways. It's just like at the restaurant, they do serve like crispy, and so it's dry, but then that's what it was served at the most of the restaurant. So I think this is good. And it works really well. Like the sauce is not only good for the boneless wings, but it's also with the classic also does really well as well. So
yeah, definitely remind me from, you know, at some of these restaurants, because the wings, some of the restaurant, it's on the drier side, the meat, but this one is not too terrible. You know, this is what, like right in the middle, so
yeah,
crispy on the outside. The inside it's not completely dry. It's on the drier side, but not like dry, but it's moist enough that you can still taste the meat. Yeah.
So I have to say overall between the boneless wings and the classic wings, I mean, I like both, but I think this time I would prefer the boneless wings because I don't have to use my hands.
Yeah, definitely a plus side. I think moving forward, if I serve it with my families or friends, I would do this boneless chicken wings, buffalo wings. Just because, you know, it's like, you know, appetizer is meant for finger food, and it's very clumsy if you have the bone with the buffalo wings, and that's where a lot of guests are like really shy about, you know, getting your buffalo wings because they don't want to pull the bones out of their mouth. You know, so definitely worth doing deboning. Again, check out the deboning part and rewatch it if you're not too comfortable with deboning, but you know, you should be fine. And I hope you enjoyed this episode of the restaurant remake of the buffalo wings. I have two versions here, boneless versus bone-in. And if you have not yet subscribed to our food travel shopping channel, please subscribe to our channel by hitting the subscribe button, as well as hitting the bell notification for our latest video and update. If you want to follow the recipe, please check the description box below. I would love to hear comments from you guys about, do you prefer the bone-in or the boneless? Please type your comments below. Stay tuned for our next video. Thanks for watching.